July 21st, 2026 meeting of the Sayreville Public Board of Education. In accordance with Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, this public meeting of the Sayreville Board of Education has been established by posting a copy of the public meeting notice on the district's legal notice website. In addition, copies of the announcement of this meeting have been sent to the Borough Clerk, and a copy of the notice of the meeting has also been posted on the bulletin board outside the office of the Secretary of the Board. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Hill.
Mrs. Bloom?
Here.
Mr. Callahan? Mrs. Hernandez?
Here.
Mrs. Maldonado?
Here.
Mrs. Napolitano?
Here.
Mrs. Pabon?
Here.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Walsh? Mr. Fernandez?
Here. Now I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
I got Mrs. Bloom, and was that Mrs. Napolitano? Okay. Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Personnel, including but not limited to agenda items, student matters, and matters falling under attorney-client privilege. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time that the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Mrs. Bloom? Yes. Mrs. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mrs. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mrs. Napolitano?
Yes.
Mrs. Pabon?
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez?
Yes.
Okay.
We're in executive session. I call to order the July 21st, 2026 meeting of the Sayreville Board of Education. In accordance with Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, this public meeting of the Sayreville Board of Education has been established by posting a copy of the public meeting notice on the district's legal website. In addition, copies of the announcement of this meeting have been sent to the Borough Clerk, and a copy of the notice of the meeting has also been posted on the bulletin board outside the office of the Secretary to the Board. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Hill.
Mrs. Bloom?
Here.
Mr. Callahan? Mrs. Hernandez?
Here.
Mrs. Maldonado?
Here.
Mrs. Napolitano?
Here.
Mrs. Pabon?
Here.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Fernandez?
Here. Can you summarize the executive session?
The board discussed personnel, including but not limited to agenda items, student matters, and matters falling under attorney-client privilege.
Any correspondence of note?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of both the regular session and executive session of the June 16, 2026 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
So I have Mr. Walsh and second by Mrs. Bloom. Mrs. Bloom? Yes. Mrs. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mrs. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mrs. Napolitano? Yes. Mrs. Pabon? Yes. Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
And Mr. Fernandez?
Yes. I guess we're missing the best part of the meeting today.
And I had questions.
No. Really? All right, well, I'll keep my comment short then. I just want to say that the Bombers Cafe is back open for the summer, Monday through Thursday from 8 to 12, but they're only going to be there till August 6th. They're only going to be there all August 6th, so hurry up and go get your coffee. And seeing this busy crowd, I'll leave the rest of my comments for next time. And I believe we don't have Vice President comments?
No, nothing for me, thank you.
Great. Now we go right into our presentations.
Yes, and as you know, I will not be remaining with the district beyond June of 2027.
We'll
So
see about
tonight,
that.
we have
I'm voting no.
some special presentations. You can't vote no to that. for you this evening. We have two organizations that are very proven and skilled in finding exceptional school administrator leaders that can take districts to the next level. I couldn't be prouder to present them to you and give them an opportunity to share with you their superintendent search services. So we have two, New Jersey School Boards Association, Mary Ann Friedman is here, and we have Dr. Brian Zakowski and Dr. Michael Kuchar, who are here from Strategic Exemplary Alliance. We're going to allow New Jersey School Boards to go first, so while Mary Ann gets set at the podium, I will distribute her information for her.
Can I ask you a question? Where did we get you from?
Where do we get what?
Which search person did we use to find you?
New Jersey School Boards.
Thank you.
Is that good or bad?
I would say they did a
Nobody's
darn good
perfect,
job.
so-
Still out. I would say they did a great job. We were very lucky to get Dr. Labby.
And I believe that was Gwen Thornton.
Yeah, it was Gwen Thornton, that's
Yeah.
Don't worry, we won't hold that against her.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Ann Friedman. I am a senior field service rep with New Jersey School Boards, and I've been with the association for about 16 years. And I've had Mercer and Middlesex now for the past 8 years, probably 6 years, because I had you, and then I was asked to take Monmouth and Ocean County, and then I was brought back to Mercer and Middlesex, so I'm happy to be back. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about, and thank you for inviting me in to talk to you about our search process. So, it's not moving. Up, wait, there we go, okay. So, lots of school boards obviously go with New Jersey School Boards because they have a relationship with us. We see you at county meetings, we see you at workshop, we see you at the DA, we see you at a lot of different places. And we do have a professional team of people who work with us. While you see me in front of you who would be facilitating your search, I also have an entire association behind me. Attorneys, communications experts, policy experts, labor relations experts, things of that sort. So we really do care about the challenges that you face, and we understand the challenges that you face. And I was a board member for 9 years before I came to New Jersey School Boards. We also are devoted to your needs, the needs of the Board of Education. You are our customer. You are our sole customer. And so we have a highly confidential process that we put into place. It's legally defensible. And we do have, as I said, at NJSBA experts in the field. And again, we work for the board, not for the candidates. So the successful superintendent search really has several components. First of all, the superintendent is the only person that you hire directly. Everybody else that you hire is at the recommendation of the superintendent. And this is the most important thing you'll do over the next 3 to 5 years, because the contract can't be less than 3 years and it can't be more than 5 years. Okay, so it is a confidential process. We have a way to get involved, your stakeholder groups. You've had Dr. Labe for 12 years. 13. Oh, I was off, sorry. And I thought it was 12. And you're really going to, by doing a search, generally you're going to want to involve your stakeholder groups and get their opinions and their feedback. And so we have a process to be able to do that. As the board, you are the non-conflicted board members are the only entity that can sit at the table to do the interviews and go through the superintendent search process and appoint your next superintendent. So we take that very seriously, and we know that you will too. And the confidentiality has to be maintained, otherwise it's a problem, because the education world in New Jersey is extremely small. We're a small state, but the education world is even smaller. And if rumor gets out, or if there's any kind of leak of confidentiality, the candidates will find out, they'll withdraw from the search, we'll have to close the search and then have to reopen, and it'll be hard to get candidates because the word will be out that the confidentiality was breached. So you're going to want your stakeholder groups to participate in this to the best of their ability, and I can do in-person input sessions with them. You're a large district in New Jersey terms, and so I would be able to go into the schools to meet with your staff, usually after school or at a staff meeting. I can meet with them for about 15, 20 minutes and let them know what this process is. and then have community meetings also. And then we'll have an online survey that everybody can fill out as well. And so that's really the most important thing, other than the confidentiality of this process. So the legal requirements, as you probably know, the person must possess a certificate of eligibility or a standard certificate. If they don't have either of those things, when you go to appoint them, you would be able to interview somebody who didn't have their CE, their certificate of eligibility yet. But if you then went to appoint them and they didn't have it, you would not be able to appoint them. And it would get caught in the contract with the executive county superintendent. They need to be a New Jersey resident within a year. If they're not a New Jersey resident, we do get people from New York, Pennsylvania, and Delaware who apply. Probably not Delaware for you guys because you're a little bit too far north, but we do get people from Pennsylvania and from New York State all the time who apply. As I said, you'll offer a 3 to 5 year contract. It has to end on July, they all have to end on July 1st, and so it can't be less than a 3 or more than a 5. The contract has to be approved. Once you all approve it tentatively, along with the finalist, it has to go to the executive county superintendent for approval. And once that happens, you can appoint the next superintendent. And the compensation is based on comparability rates. So the role of the staff in the community, since they can't be sitting at the table with you or have any participation in knowing who the candidates are, is we have the input sessions that I can do, and I can come in and meet with your community members and your staff and your students. We have students involved as well, and we're going to ask them 5 questions. Basically, what are the strengths of the district? What are the challenges over the next 3 to 5 years? What qualities would you like to see in your next superintendent? What experience and background would you like to see them have? And if they could ask one question, what would that one question be? And then I compile all of that information and provide it to you. It's all anonymous, so you won't see who said what, but from those questions, I'll provide you with sample first round questions if you select NJSBA, and then you'll be able to select questions that your staff and your community members or your students have asked as well. And that's how we allow them to participate and get them to participate. And I know that sometimes when I meet with staff, they don't understand why they can't be seated at the table, and confidentiality is the reason. They're not bound to confidentiality as you are. And oftentimes when we know that other search firms, because we do know that other search firms allow staff to sit at the table, oftentimes candidates will withdraw when they know that, because they know that there's not a secure way of keeping that confidentiality. So all those survey questions, all of those answers and those responses will help you select who to bring in for interviews, who to move forward in interviews, and what questions to ask, and who you'll meet with who you'll select as your finalist. This is a selection process, not a settling process. So we never want you to feel that you have to settle on somebody from the pool. If you feel that the pool, you do first round interviews and you feel there's nobody you want to move forward, or second round interviews and you feel there's nobody you want to move forward, we would rather you close out the search and start over again than settle on somebody, okay? So the first thing that we would do is, if you selected NJSBA, is I would meet with your non-conflicted school board members and identify the criteria and the credentials that you would like your next superintendent to have, develop the ad, and then also develop the calendar. The ad and the calendar are then emailed to your non-conflicted board members. When they approve that, then we put it up on our website, which gets about 8,000 hits a month. And we also send it out electronically to a lot of other associations and colleges. And the search calendar will also be up on your website for transparency for your students, staff, and parent members. That's what your calendar would look like. There is a sample calendar in the packet that we have out. I know you can't really see that, but that really details what the process would be like. So tonight I'm here talking to you about the process. If you select NJSBA, would meet with you to develop the criteria and the credentials, also develop the ad and the calendar, and then we would start the advertisement period. We like for the ad to go up for at least a month on our website and all the other websites we've sent it to, which I'll tell you about in a second. Then we'll have the deadline for the application. Then I'll go through all of the applications as they're coming in, and I'll rank them. I'll tell you about that in a second. Then I would deliver the pool of applicants to you, along with sample questions that you would select from, and different things about the superintendent search. And then depending on what, if you go with NJSBA, what tier you decide on, I would either be with you for all of the interviews in 2 of the tiers, or come before the first round interviews, get you all set up, and then come back at the end of the first round to process you out. Do the same thing for the second and the third round. Then, once you have your finalist, send you the references, and also send you the script for the reference checking. I like for each non-conflicted board member to contact 3 references so they hear for themselves what the person is like and what the references have to say about them. References come back, then you're ready to start negotiations. We usually suggest that the board have their board attorney negotiate on their behalf, and that the finalist have somebody from ASA negotiate on their behalf. Having those 2 attorneys who know contracts inside and out, the contract negotiations can usually go pretty quickly, about a week or so. Then it would go to the executive county superintendent, once tentatively approved by you and by the finalist. And then once the executive county superintendent approves it, then you can appoint your next superintendent. So how do we advertise your search? It's on our website, all of our social media sites. You can put it on all of your social media sites, so LinkedIn, nj.com, all of those places. We have it on ASBO, New Jersey Association of School Business Officials, NJASA, which is the Association of School Administrators, and NJPSA, the Principal and Supervisors Association. We email it to over 1,000 of our database, people who have applied for searches in the past. And we also send it to all the colleges in the tri-state area and the Department of Education county offices. We send out marketing blasts once a week on the ads, on the searches that we're doing. And we're also a member of NASS, the National Association of Superintendent Searchers, which is through the National School Boards Association. And we use a program called Revelis for our online applications. It's all online now, so if you had been here when Dr. Labe was hired, you would know that we would have brought in a big banker's box with all the paper applications. They would have resided with the business administrator as long as the business administrator wasn't applying for the position. And then you would need, as board members, to come in and make arrangements with the business administrator to sit down and to go through those applications. Now it's all electronic, and all the non-conflicted members will have access to all of those materials. And you then get all of those materials at the end. So you can do it at 2 o'clock in the morning if you're not sleeping, or you can do it at 7 o'clock in the morning, whenever you would like to. And try and give you about 10 to 14 days to go through the pool of candidates, and then let your board president know who you each select individually to bring in for first round interviews. So the application materials are the application itself, which takes a while to fill out and to complete. There's a letter of interest, there's the resume, a copy of their school administrator certificate or their CE, their transcripts, references, and also their last performance evaluation. And I make sure, your field service rep makes sure that all of those things are intact. I make sure that, the transcripts are there from accredited universities and colleges, and that they have the degrees that they say that they have from those transcripts. I also make sure that their certificates are in there. Sometimes candidates will put in a tracking number, and we can't track that. Only the individual candidate can track it that way, so we need to ask them to get us the actual certificate. And then remember, the confidentiality when you go through all of these is really critical. We'll also ask you to select 3 areas if you would like to, if you'd like to have essays as part of your application. And we literally have a page of A through Z topics that you can choose from. And I'll work with you to come up with your 3 topics that you would like to ask the candidates to write an essay about. We ask them to give their actual performance and their actual history and experience in those things, not philosophical or theoretical explanations of what they would do, but what have they done. So then it becomes criteria-based applicant review, because all the criteria that you come up with is very objective and it has to be met. And then your public has come up with different criteria that they would like to see you take into consideration when you're looking through all the applications and the qualifications that are in the ad. I'll go through all of those applicants. I used to say when it was paper, I touch every single paper in there. I click on every single piece of information that's in the application, and then I'll rank them A, B, or C. A is exceeds your criteria, so that's usually somebody who's been a superintendent, is a superintendent, or has been an assistant superintendent. And then B are the people who meet that objective criteria. So there's no room in our rating process for, do I like the person? Do I know that you like the person? Do I know that you don't care for that person, so I make them a C? It's all objective criteria. So B will be meets your criteria, A is exceeds, and C is doesn't meet. If you require anything in the ad, if they don't have it, they're a C. And you would not be able to consider them for, you could review their application, but you would not be able to bring them in for an interview. First round is confidential. It will all be non-conflicted board members. Usually boards bring in about 9 people. I like to have a 45-minute interview because 30 minutes just doesn't feel like it's enough. It's very structured. You will select questions that I'll have provided to you from your surveys, and also things that you have told me that you want to find out about candidates. So every applicant is asked the same set of questions. So they generally have between 2.5 and 3 minutes to answer a question. They know that up front. So we time them on that and let them know when their time is running out. And then the things that you want to know at the end of that first round that I'll work with you on is, does anybody feel like they could be a good fit? Is there anybody you're interested in learning more about? Those would be the people that you bring in for a second round. Second round, again, is confidential, usually 4, 5, or 6 applicants. Candidates will come back, usually 60 minutes for that, and then that's less structured, so you can ask specific questions. And while the first round is going on, if you have specific questions for specific candidates, you can write those down, and then if those people are brought back in, those questions can be asked. Then you want to be able to see, do you think that that person could really sit in this seat? And would you like to bring them back? You could decide at the end of the second round that you have your person, or you may want to bring in 2 or 3 people for a third round. That's usually very detailed. It's usually about 90 minutes. Oftentimes it has a presentation in for about 30 minutes, and then questions that you can ask and that the candidate can ask. At that point in time, I've only had it happen once where we went to a 4th round interview. But at that point in time, you usually know who your person is, and then that's your finalist. I contact them, I let them know that they are the finalist, and that I ask them to add additional references that they can provide to me. No references are checked at any point in the search process from the beginning to this point until I get those references from the finalist, and I send them to the board president with a script, and not with a script, but I send with the script, and I send those to the board president, and then he can divide it, or she can divide it up among the board members. And as I said, I like for each board member to contact 3 people. So those are the reference checks. There's a background check that will need to be done in 2 of our premium searches. There's also a social media background check that you will get within the component, the price of the search. And then there can be district visits. I have not seen district visits done since before 2014, mostly because once you do that, if you're going to their district or if they're coming to you and you're introducing them to people, confidentiality is lost. There's a lot of things that can still go wrong between that point in time and the appointment. The contract negotiations, as I said, would be with your board attorney and with the attorney that they have from either ASA or PSA. Once that's done and the ECS has approved it and gotten it back to you, then you can appoint and introduce the new superintendent, and really it's a celebration to bring them in. They usually have their families there. I've seen somebody bring in their pet, their dog, whatever floats your boat, okay? But it is a celebration, and then in about 4 to 6 weeks after the new superintendent starts, I'll come in and do a transition workshop with them where the board develops and identifies the expectations they have for the new superintendent. Superintendent develops and identifies the expectations they have for you, and we would set district and board goals. So it really sets you up very nicely for that first year, for a successful first year. So how can the community participate on those online surveys and also those in-person surveys? These are the questions that we ask. I already let you know what those were. They would be asked at both the in-person and on the SurveyMonkey. We have 3 different levels of search. There's 8,000, which is our classic search, 15,500, which is premium, and 20,000. And I'll just go through these quickly. 8,000, all search materials go through us, and they belong to the board. Once you have identified and appointed your new superintendent, I take all of the application materials, put them on a disc, and give them to your BA with an envelope and confidential, and let them know that they need to keep that for their records retention. So you get everything that they have submitted to us back at that point in time, for everybody that was in the search, not just your finalist. It's a legally defensible search process. We provide all the application information and all those materials. We provide you with training on interviews. We schedule all the interviews. When you do reference checking, as I said, nobody's really doing district visitation anymore because it's just a little too complicated. Develop the board criteria, the advertisement, and solicit and report input from your community and your staff. Also, we review and receive the candidate applications. We respond to any inquiries. We're basically your confidential administrative secretary to be able to handle all of the materials. We provide that ranked ABC list. A's are going to be people who exceed your requirements. B is meets, and C is doesn't meet. We schedule those interviews. We collaboratively develop those interview questions, and I will assist the board in reaching consensus. There's also training for your CSA contract. A lot of boards are not taking advantage of this now with us because they have their board attorney work on the contract, so they're intimately involved with that. And we provide ongoing support and training for the board and the administrative team. The 15.5, everything that we just talked about, and we have consultants who are working as talent acquisition folks, and they will go out and because we can't recruit, because I can't go to another district, much like I wouldn't have been able to come to Dr. Labe and say, boy, I've got a great position I think you'd be great for. I'd like for you to apply to that. You wouldn't talk to me ever again, and it wouldn't be good. I have to be able to represent all of the boards in the counties that I work in, and we do across the state. So we have a talent acquisition consultant who comes in, and they can actually go out and recruit. So they'll get all of your information, your criteria, your credentials, and the ad in the calendar, and they'll be able to contact people who they feel, and they're people who have been superintendents or still are superintendents, who know a lot of people in the state. The consultant, as I said, I would participate in all of the interviews with you. Actually, I'm here for the interviews. I'm not participating because you are the people who are going to run the interviews. I'm here to support you and to provide you with any support that you need. We'll review your job description for you and also do that social media background check that I mentioned before. The $20,000 search, everything in the previous 2 that I just talked about, including a strategic plan. It's a 3-night over 3 months strategic plan where we reflect, we reimagine, and we recalibrate. So this is in your packet, and it's basically, why you choose us, what the grid is for the 3 different tiers, and what questions might you have?
Thank you for coming out, especially with today's weather, so thank you for coming out.
You're welcome.
If I can just ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
What do you believe truly separates a great superintendent from a good administrator? What qualities would you look for?
What I look for doesn't necessarily matter because you're going to select your next superintendent. I'm going to guide you through that process. But what I would look for would be somebody who is kind, who has empathy, who can, be quick on their feet, who's articulate, who can communicate very, very well, and has to be able to communicate with a large diversity of people and also a large group of people in different areas of your community. And with the experience of being an educator. And I think that that's one of the most important things. That will come through from your staff too. They're going to want somebody who has been a teacher. The only people that generally will apply for the position that have not been teachers before are people who were possibly guidance counselors and school psychologists and have gone through the mentorship program to get their certificate of eligibility. And they have a lot of qualities also. But if the board says that classroom teaching, and we always say classroom teaching as opposed to teaching, because teaching could be college, teaching at the college level, which, as you know, is very different than teaching at a pre-K through 12 level. But if that's required, then that would knock people out, and that's okay. We just don't want to we don't want to restrict the pool so much that, or give so many qualifications that are required that you wouldn't have enough people to consider for the application for the pool.
Great. And here in Sayreville, we pride ourselves on being very unique. I'm sure every district feels that way, but
You are.
we are.
I know you are, you're bombers.
Exactly. So how would you tailor your approach specifically for our district, or is it a more one-size-fits-all type of approach?
No, I would talk to you during that credentials and criteria and the development of the ad and the calendar, would talk to you about what specific things you might be looking for. If you wanted me to go to the Bombers Cafe one afternoon or one morning.
That would be a requirement, by the way.
I'm
I think,
sorry?
I think a requirement of all our candidates. First candidate says they don't like the coffee. That's just me, I'm voting
I
against them.
can't order them to go to Bombers Cafe. However, I wouldn't be surprised if some candidates do come through. We have a lot of candidates who have said in their first or second round interviews that they've gone to the ShopRite or to the Acme, whatever the local grocery stores are around, and talked to students and staff that are in there about the school district. I would imagine people would go to Bombers Cafe because it's taken on a whole new level, having won the Garden State Filmmakers Award for students. So, but I would be able to go there and sit down and talk to, see if anybody would like to talk to me, introduce myself, and see if they'd like to talk to me about what they feel the next superintendent should have. And anything else that you wanted. If you wanted me to go to PTO meetings or a PTO cabinet meeting, I could do those things. So we would really talk about what things specific to Sayreville you would like for me to do, and then I will take care of those.
Great.
I would be like most interested in making sure the candidate followed the legacy that Dr. Labby has already established, like, the Bombers Beyond Cafe. That's something that he was responsible for. Like, there's lots of things in this district that he should get credit for, such as the, bus depot, like the whole busing situation, fixing that. So I would want to gear to make sure that those programs that have already been established do not get diminished, or, they're all very good. So I wouldn't want somebody coming in and like, oh, we're going to change everything. Want
Right.
the things that's working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the way I look at it.
And most board members don't want people to come in and just automatically fix things, or see that what they feel needs to be fixed and fix it. They would really appreciate people who will come in, who will really assess the district and see what their feelings are, and then talk to the board about what they feel might need to be changed. And a lot of those times in talking to the board, they find out reasons why it shouldn't be changed. And Bombers Cafe, the bus depot, all of those things that you mentioned would likely be some of those.
Now, would Dr. Labby, as the outgoing superintendent, be able to guide us at all, give us any advice, like, make any recommendation? Is that allowed?
So that would be up to you. We generally don't recommend that the superintendent is in the interviews because it is a board decision. But it would be up to you as to how much involvement you wanted Dr. Labby.
Yeah, I don't
to have.
necessarily mean the interview, but just, a little bit of feedback.
Great. What can you tell us, what distinguishes your firm from other firms, or your organization, I should say, from other search firms?
We work with school boards only. So you are our customers, you are our clients, and we take that very seriously. We want to be able to help you make the best decisions that you can make. I will be working with you. I'm your field service rep. I'm not going anywhere, not that I know of anyway. I'm not going anywhere, so it's in my best interest for you to get the best candidate that you can.
Any other board members have any questions?
Yeah, just a quick, I'm sorry, you can go, Lee.
Okay. Regarding the strategic planning, the 3R model, reflect, reimagine, and recalibrate, can you elaborate a little bit of what that would look like?
Sure, so usually once the superintendent starts, they may want to do this, if they start on July 1st, they may want to do it in the fall, or they may want to hold off until the spring. It depends on what's going on in the district. We would come in and talk to you about that again at that point, do a presentation in front of your community members so that they can see what's going on. And it's 3 meetings over 3 months. The superintendent would do a state of the schools report and or state of the district report in this case, and really give a very good up-to-date background and up-to-date scenario on how the district is doing right now at the first meeting. And then we break up anybody who's participating. We try and get students, as many students as we can involved, parents, teachers, staff, and community members involved, and come up with, identify strengths and challenges of the district. And so we ask them to brainstorm for a bit of time. We go through the consensus process and what strategic planning means. It's developing a vision and mission for your district that all stakeholders can get behind, because the stakeholders are actually building that strategic plan. It comes from them. It's not a top-down, it's a ground-up. And so they'll come up with strengths and challenges of the district that the superintendent will have identified, some of the ones that they've identified in their short time here as well. And then each small group will report out on their top 10, and then we'll talk about the things that they've seen more than once, so some consensus points, and then we'll talk about the next meeting. The next meeting, we've switched over from a visioning exercise to a portrait of a learner. And so with that, we're looking at the previous month's outcomes, which you would have usually within 2 days after the strategic planning meeting. It goes up on the website, so anybody can look at it, and if they haven't been able to be there for the first meeting, they can see exactly what happened, how we got to what we got to, and come in ready to go on the second meeting. And so then we're talking to them about all the different things that they would like to see from your students. What's required for them? What do they feel is necessary for them to possess when they walk across the stage of graduation to get their diploma? And so that will give you a lot of that information about what skills your community members feel, your parents, your students. We get great information from students. And then report out on those, come to consensus points, and from that we'll identify 3 to 5 goal areas, just broad goal areas. Then the third meeting, so again, second meeting, everything's typed up on the website within a couple of days. Third meeting is everybody comes in, we review first and second meeting. They have all the materials at their tables, and they can go to whatever goal area they would like to go to, and they can move around. If they are at one goal area, they give their input, and then they want to go someplace else. And they come up with 3 to 5 objectives and a goal statement for each goal area. And then that's reported out to the larger group, get consensus from the larger group, and we provide that material to the new superintendent, and then they come up with they develop the action plans with the administrative team. It's really just like when you develop your district goals, you are the what people. The strategic plan gives your new superintendent the what they would like to see, your community would like to see happen over the next 3 to 5 years, and then they develop the action plans, which are the how. Just like your superintendent now develops the action plans for the district goals, he provides you with how he's going to get you from where you are now to where you want to be a year from now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, if, when the applications come in, if we happen to have a number of internal candidates, can we do a first round of internal candidates before opening it up? Or, well, I mean, we would have already opened it up, but can we do a first round of just internal candidates, or?
We usually don't do that, but we could probably do that if you would like to. I prefer not to separate out internal candidates from external, because that can give out information that you have
Sure.
a lot of internal candidates. The internal candidates do have to meet your requirements in order to be brought in for an interview.
Understood.
And then
Yeah.
you can bring whoever you would like in.
Great,
Okay, and they would go through the same process then as everybody else.
thanks.
Yep.
I just have one more question for you. What percentage of your superintendents are still with the district 5 years later? I mean, you may not know that off the top of your head.
I
but-
do not know that off the top of my head. I know that the national average is 3 years for a superintendent to stay. We always hope that that's not the case, that you'll have somebody like Dr. Labe who stays for 12, 13 years. We can't promise you that, nobody can.
Right.
But most of the superintendents that I've put into place have been there, I would say, for 4 or 5 years. that's not I can't even think back to 2008 when I first came, but.
Gotcha. Anybody else? No? Well, I want to thank you greatly for coming out and giving me such a thoughtful presentation.
Thank you so much for all you do for your students, your staff, and your community. It's really valuable, and we really appreciate you, so thank you.
You got a
Thank you,
question?
Marion.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation will be by Dr. Brian Zakowski and Dr. Michael Kuchar from Strategic Exemplary Alliance.
It's nice meeting you. Take care. Thank you.
Marianne, I'm all intimidated now. You did such a great job. I'm nervous. I don't want to go. But very nice. It's great meeting you. Thank you. You too. Safe home. Thank you so much for inviting Brian and I here tonight. We're excited to have the opportunity to present. We both feel that this is going to be an incredibly popular job. And it's going to be a popular job for many of the reasons that's been talked about tonight. 13 years of a superintendent. That doesn't happen often. Certainly doesn't happen in this day and age. So that's a tribute to you as a board, and of course to Dr. Labby. Can't believe it's 13 years. I think it was your first year you had that terrible hazing situation. And I got to know you through the newspaper. But I admired how you and the district handled it, and in a tough situation, you treated everybody with dignity and respect.
Thank you.
So this is a desired district, and there's a lot of good. And I think the timing of it is also great, because you're not going up against a lot of other districts. That's why I don't want you to drag it out too much, because right now there aren't any other districts competing. Whereas just a few months ago, we were up against 5 districts all at once, and so that becomes very competitive. I've been in the search firm for 12 years. So while Rich was getting his job here, I was being recruited by Dr. Bill Labrera, former commissioner of the Department of Ed in New Jersey, went on to Rutgers, leadership there, and then he was the regional vice president for Hazard, Young, and Atia. He recruited me to work with him. I worked for him for about a year and then went out on my own, and for 12 years have been doing this in 2 states, New York and New Jersey, and have done over 50 searches. Why are we so successful? What sets us apart? And the thing that sets us apart is we're labor intense. We are committed to the process and the system that we put in place. With me, and shortly, Dr. Brian Zakowski will be introducing himself. We also have Miss Judy Radner, who's on vacation, couldn't be with us today. So we have 3 people dedicated, 3 either former superintendents, current one in me. I'm the superintendent of the South Bergen Jointure Commission. It's a public special education public school. I represent 18 school districts. I've been doing that for 9 years. Prior to that, 12 years, I was superintendent of the Bergenfield schools. That's 21 years of superintendency. Brian is retired and come back. Judy has retired, and now she is the assistant executive director of the New Jersey Superintendent Association. So we have a great deal of experience, and we put together a profile, and we do it because that profile will drive the whole search process. And all we are facilitators and helpers. We're not choosing for you. We're not telling you who to pick. We'll give you advice and recommendation. We'll give you full evaluations of where they land, whether they're in the must-see group or they should be seen, but concerned about this or that, or they don't meet the criteria pile. You as a board have a right to pick who you choose, and we respect that, but we'll give you all the information. Just like we'll give all the resumes and cover letters to the board as they come in. Not going to do it every day, we'll do it in weekly batches, so it doesn't get cumbersome for either one of us. So we believe strongly in making that profile. The Board of Ed is elected to choose the superintendent. Your greatest power comes from two activities: hiring the superintendent and evaluating the superintendent. Unfortunately, our communities believe when there's an opening that they have the right or the destiny to choose the super. We're very clear. That's a requirement that a board cannot pass along, cannot give away. That is your legal responsibility to choose. And we're going to make it hard on you. What do I mean by that? I was hoping, and there were a lot of great questions, I was hoping people would be asked, how many average applications do you get on your searches? I can tell you this, the lowest I've gotten in 50 searches is 40 applicants. Typically, they're up to 50 applicants. And of the 50, I would say more than half meet the requirements. So it's going to be really hard to drill down to choose which 8, 10, or 12 are we as a board going to interview. It'll be tough, and that's when we know we've done a really good job, when we make it hard on you. So a little bit more about myself, because that recruitment stage is going to be big, and it all comes from the profile. Besides being a superintendent for 21 years, I was high school principal for a number of years, and I worked in both New York and New Jersey, primarily now in New Jersey. And while I was involved in those positions, I was president of NJASA, so I held that position, which gave me great exposure to superintendents from Cape May right through Bergen County. I was involved for 25 years volunteering with the Middle States Association out of Philadelphia, and I was the chair of the executive committee for secondary schools. Taught at Seton Hall for 15 years and done over 30 doctoral dissertations as a mentor. So quite a lot of people I know through education that helps me recruit. I'm going to let Brian introduce himself, talk about his recruitment. Judy being a deputy director, she speaks for herself.
One thing superintendents fight over is the mic, so I got nervous. Thanks, Michael. Good evening, everyone. I know so many of you, and I heard the Bombers Cafe referenced many times. Board President, I think we met there at the Bomber Cafe. I brought my team over from North Brunswick.
I remember. Thank you.
We were so impressed with Dr. Labby's setup and what we're trying to establish in North Brunswick for children, students, and not only as it relates to the Bombers Cafe for the great coffee, but the longitudinal type of service, because I was served by a young man named Dante, and I now know he's going to be a bus aide for Sayreville. That kind of vision is what, when you ask that question, what are the important parts of the superintendent or the qualities, what makes superintendent successful? Superintendents first and foremost have to work with the board, be able to synergize the boards. You have so many different perspectives. How can we operationalize that? And those people like Dr. Labby see the needs of the district. Children, all children, not just the high achievers, all children. And having that vision and be able to operationalize it while working with the Board of Education in a governance structure, very highly regulated organizations that we're in. I think that's our greatest strength as current superintendents. I failed retirement. I was superintendent for 23 years, and I retired in 2021. Dr. Repollet asked me to work for him for about 4 or 5 years. I'm still working for him, but I do that in another capacity in his doctoral program. But I had such a great board, such a great relationship, my board asked me to come back. In fact, when I left after 15 years at North Brunswick, they allowed me to select my successor. So when she decided to retire, they asked me to come back and kind of, it was tough economic times, can we get back on track? So I think working with Dr. Kuchar and working in his firm, it's Dr. Kuchar's firm, as a seated superintendent, I was really in the back end doing searches because I think what differentiates our firm from all the other firms is we're able to understand and recruit those people to understand the district that, like Sayreville, the needs, the profile of that district and their needs, coming from the board and the various stakeholders, and able to identify people with that skill set that's transferable to lead a district, to lead a community, and to lead a very complex organization like a school district. I was, like I said, I was superintendent for 23 years. I'm back. I spent my 24th year as superintendent last year. The board asked me to come back another year. I've been doing searches for Dr. Kuchar, mostly behind the scenes, identifying candidates, recruiting, because as superintendents, we can recruit. Unlike school boards or any other organization, they have trouble because there's a conflict. We're able to pick up the phone and ask people who we think meet that profile after we establish a profile with the board and the stakeholders, out and recruit what's best. We were part of that, as Dr. Kuchar said, there was 5 districts. Milltown, a small Milltown, we did the search. We're very successful. South Brunswick, we did the search. Cranberry, we did search. Just finished in Franklin. John Valley just retired, and their new superintendent will start, I think, September 1st. So we've been involved in this area, in New York, all over the state, and it never changes. The criteria for success really comes from understanding the needs of the district, not the needs of the superintendent, not even the resume of the superintendent, how that person can serve that community, can serve the students, all students, and work, not just serve, but also work within the parameters of a complex organization and the many needs of the people that are there to help students and put it together in a workable plan and an actionable plan, really answering the how. I think all of you know the what. The great leaders, how do you get all children involved? How do you solve a bus depot issue? How do you solve whatever issue may come along?
You're way off to bus depot, all right? It's a little
Yeah,
sensitive
sorry.
around here.
Okay, sorry. As I said, any issues that one's
I'm
dealing
only
with.
kidding,
Yeah,
but
no, that's
great.
okay.
It's very astute of you.
So I want to turn it back over to Dr. Kuchar, but the most important, you've heard it many times, is really finding the right school administrator, chief school administrator, AKA superintendent. It's really the fit. And by getting such a large pool and getting, I think, a wide range of candidates that we'll be able to present and be proud that we're able to present. Now, you'll have advertisement, but it's just not advertisement. The key is recruitment. And Dr. Kuchar and I and Ms. Ratner will be recruiting. ASA, we are affiliated with ASA. Dr. Kuchar was past president. I'm a past president. I'm the current foundation president of ASA. And we also have a relationship with School Board Association, as they will put if we're, any of our districts, they put on their website. So there is a connection in there as well. But we're able to go through the recruitment process, which is the key. Dr. Kuchar?
Finishing up on the recruitment, I used to be a high school principal, and people used to say kids are lazy, they don't want to get involved. And I'm saying it's simply not true. They're like, well, what is it then? It's they haven't been asked. And as a high school principal, if I needed a kid to be the heavyweight wrestler and he was a little heavyweight, I'd ask him. Never did they say no. Someone to be involved with the yearbook. We need someone to do photography. They don't say no. And there are so many people we get to be in searches that they never even were thinking about it. And that's the candidate you want. Not someone that's looking for another job. Not someone who wants to get out of Dodge. But someone that wants to make a difference and sees it as the perfect place to make a difference. That's why it's not a problem to say your weakness. There are superintendents that like going to districts, and if their challenges match their skill sets, now we're talking about good fits. Now we're drilling down about what's really important. And so how do we deal with this community, though, that thinks they're going to select? The way we deal with that is we hold open forums. So we'll have them both in group and one-on-ones. So all board members will have a 30-minute Zoom with one of us, every one of you. And we don't do it as a group because we want everyone to speak freely. And you talk about equity, you're the ones that have the most skin in the game. So you should have the most input into it. And besides the questions that our colleague from school board shared, we'll also ask people, what superintendent would you like to see here? And maybe they're happy or maybe they're retired, but just hearing who they like, you get a feel for the style, for their strengths, and so forth. And also might be a place where we'll get people to recruit. A lot of times I'll remember principals that were here years ago that may be superintendents elsewhere, just to get you thinking. So we'll meet with the board in do the individual profiles. We'll meet with a few of the central administrators. We'll do mass groups of all the teachers. We have a process where every teacher can be invited to an open forum. We'll see groups of kids, groups of stakeholders, such as PTA, parents, SEPTA, and so on. And then we'll have 2 open community forums. And open meaning anyone can come to them. One will be virtual, one will be in person. We also, like school boards, does a survey, but we'll give you more input into the questions we ask. So it's tailored towards Sayreville. So by the end of the profile development, every community member, every person working in the district will have had 3 opportunities to provide input. They'll have the 2 open forums and the survey. So if they weren't invited to a one-on-one or to a small group, everybody still was invited. We make sure we work with you as a board to get that message out. So Brian, I closed the loop a little bit on recruitment. I'll let you talk about the phases.
Obviously, there is a very perfunctory way we go about it. We have 5 phases and 8 components of those 5 phases. First is the formal planning stage. We meet with the board. If we're selected, we discuss timeline, we discuss the calendar, because we know as a board, we've worked with some boards, and I forgot to mention, like Edison, such a board, we worked with just a committee of the board. When we did a recent search, I think 2.5 years ago. But with Franklin, they did a complete board. So it's very important, because calendar is hard to align, because we have multiple meetings, and we tried to make, that was a big meeting in itself, trying to create a calendar so we could adhere to and work with the full board in that particular district. And we'll create those survey questions collectively. We'll certainly lead you in that process, facilitate that process. We have some, but we want to tailor to what you feel comfortable, which reflects the Sayreville way, and what your thoughts are. Profile development, very important, because this will lead to the ad. We want to assist the board in determining the criteria for the new superintendent. SEA will conduct the initial interviews, right, with individual board members individually, so we get that feedback. But we'll also use community involvement, the input of the stakeholders. We'll create a profile. Now, it's interesting that you could imagine getting a wide array of opinions from many stakeholders. Superman or Superwoman doesn't exist. But from that profile, we can really zero in on those key criteria, key traits and strengths that one needs to operate from the perspective of the Sayreville community, Sayreville board, and the Sayreville stakeholders. Additionally, we're committed to confidentiality. That is so important. I heard it mentioned multiple times for school boards presentation. Confidentiality, we know we're very successful. We've been asked to come back to many districts from word of mouth because they found, wow, it's been a very confident, we didn't know who was in the final for whatever district we were doing it, because we know as superintendents, it just wouldn't be fair to that current board, the current superintendent, staffing, community. It's beyond strict. The confidentiality of this process is what trumps everything else in terms of getting recruiting. We know superintendents will not apply if they think it won't be as confidential as it could be. I've had superintendents ask me, are they going to do a visit? I don't want to be to pay, because they could do a visit after they offer me a contract, but can you imagine if some districts, some search firms and boards want to do visits going back, and we don't recommend that, but we also recommend the reason why parents will say to you, can we get on that search, can we get on the interview? The reason why you can't do that is when it goes out to the public, they have no restrictions on their confidentiality. So we pride ourselves working with boards, keeping everything strictly confidential, and making sure that people who want to apply won't feel there's a barrier of confidentiality that restricts them. Because, as superintendents, we know running districts, working with a community, working with a board, you don't want to break their confidence, but everyone has an opportunity to maybe seek another position, whether it's moving up or closer to home or whatever reason, but you certainly want to have everyone who could apply, should apply, and does apply. So then we do the recruitment. This is where we think, I heard that quite, this separates, we really feel good about this with our connections in not only university world and not only with PSA and ASA, former president. We do a lot of workshop development. We see some new talent. We see existing talent. We have people reach out to us now that once you get into the flow of doing searches, and Mike Firm has done over 50, so people know that we've done the local searches. Once they see SEA, we'll get calls all the time from colleagues. They'll even say, hey, I'm not interested because, I'm ready to retire, but I know 4 or 5 folks, that you really should check out. They're superstars. And so we'll be able to talk to those superstars because we're not bound, we don't have any relationships and any conflicts by reaching out to those superintendents and say, hey, let's just have a conversation. Think about it. So we.
Can I talk about the diversity, how we look to balance it, how we look to balance it towards the demographics of the district, how we try to balance it gender-wise? And it's difficult when you're doing elementary superintendent searches. It's difficult. There's a lot more female K-6, K-8 than it is K-12. So I'm warning you all right now, it's not going to be 50-50 gender-wise because the females aren't there K-12. And that's just fact, but a great deal of representation.
And we were very fortunate. We did a Delran search in Burlington County. Dr. Brochel's old district, he went up. We had, of the 4 finalists, 3 were female. So sometimes it worked out in that area, but we do pride ourselves by reaching out. We want a diverse pool of qualified candidates. The key word is qualified and meet the criteria, and we purposely reach out as many and try to make a diverse pool of candidates so you could feel proud that you looked at all areas of the talent pool, not just a specific, Rick Labby wannabe, right? We want someone who has a skill set, and skill sets are developed with experience and knowledge and, what I would say accomplishment. And so there's so many good different superintendents, and we see them in our organizations, and we do target those who are very successful when we look for searches and discuss them with their opportunity. And I think I heard a question about internal candidates. That's important too. We promote that boards give their internal candidates that opportunity. We had 5 internal for South Brunswick. And most of them said, we know, maybe, I don't know if we're going to, but give us some experience. And it was a very good experience, and they felt valued that they would even have an opportunity to meet the board in a situation like that. So we promote, if you have people internally thinking you have talent here, there's nothing wrong with that. We did a full search, multiple months, and Edison was so happy with us. They actually hired their internal candidate, but they validated that internal candidate with the great talent we brought forth to the search and the finals. And they to this day, they hire Mike and I to go back and we do their retreat and continue it for the last 3 years because they were so grateful of the work we did. Even though they hired their internal candidate, it was a validation. So that internal candidate just wouldn't say, oh, you're internal, you get the job, or you get to whatever, go past go. We validated the process, and they eventually hired that. So I heard Mr. Walsh talk about that, but we certainly tell boards, yeah, it's not a bad thing. You have talent, give them an opportunity, and they certainly will appreciate and feel valued. That's very important. And then, so after recruitment, the selection, that's when we set up the interview processes. We will do the first round. You hired us. Not that you're going to get every resume, every cover letter, and we will rank them. Green, we say they meet the criteria, exceed the criteria. We say yellow, we'll highlight them in yellow. They have met the criteria, but they may have, like you were looking for someone, I'll make this up, you're not. Some people say we want an EDD or a doctorate or prior experience as a superintendent. We'll say this is a great person, we have it, but the reason why they're in yellow, not green, is maybe they didn't serve as a superintendent, just assistant superintendent. But there's someone you should look at maybe, and we'll certainly go through that. We'll meet one entire night and go through every candidate, and the board eventually will pick that we recommend 6 to 10, that the board then really dives into starting that process. But we will do the screening. We meet and screen every candidate, even if on paper they do not meet the criteria. We still give them an opportunity to speak to so we talk about legalese. We give them 30 minutes. Judy, Dr. Kuchar, myself, Judy's Ms. Ratner, we will certainly meet and talk to every single candidate that applied. If they apply for your district, we think they deserve an interview, and we value that they put in a resume and they went through the trouble and they did their research. So we will do that interview, and we'll let you know. And sometimes they come back in the red section where they didn't meet any of the criteria, but they said they wanted to just discuss and hear about Sayreville and apply for the job. They have a right. Legally, we're going to do that for everyone. There's no exception. We don't eliminate anyone prior, and the board will see everyone that's been interviewed. You'll get every resume. So that's a critical piece, because that's that when you heard legal searches, that's a legal search. We will not allow that. We will not eliminate anybody for you and ever give you any kind of liability when it comes to the searches. We don't make the decision that we're not going to interview anybody based on a criteria on a paper screening. We'll paper screen, and we'll meet everyone face-to-face in 30 minutes. And so that's the selection. Then the appointment, we'll work with the board. Obviously, appointment, we then also, we offer some. I heard the question about how long to average. We're very proud of Dr. Kuchar's company offers a 2-year guarantee. You might say 2 years doesn't sound like a lot, but we have never had to pay that guarantee off. We will do the search for free, come back. If there's a reason why the search wasn't successful, especially after the first 2 years. Typically, a contract is 3 to 5 years, sometimes 3.5 years, depending if they get hired in the mid-year. But if they start July 1, it's 3 to 5 years. If there's 2 years and something goes wrong, and the board has to, there's some kind of separation for whatever reason, happens, you hear about it, you read about it, we would do the search for free the next time around if you so endeavor to bring us back. Because we know the appointment is the final part. It's stage 1 of the next how many years going forward. And we do offer services to help you with that onboarding and the announcement. But when you look at the timeline, you'll see that we put 8 components. And you'll also see that we'd say we could do this in 3 months, 3.5 months. We've been asked to do it in 2 months, and we've done it. But I don't think, you don't want to rush that process. I think you're smart. Dr. Labby announced in June of 2027, so you're starting the process now. That'll give you enough time to make an informed decision. A process could be followed, adhered to, and you'll feel very comfortable. But the key part about giving it enough time, at least a year, is you're going to hire someone who has a contract, who's a seated superintendent or assistant superintendent. They're going to have a contract and have a separation clause. And some of the separation clause, especially for superintendents, could be 3 to 5 months. So if you hire someone, make a decision December, January, or February, and they have a 5-month separation, you would still not get them till maybe August 1st. That's what's happening in Franklin. There was a separation, a seated superintendent got the Franklin job, and September 1 ends the 5-month separation clause. So we know that's a critical piece about starting early, getting the right person, hiring the person. All the stuff with the county superintendent typically never a problem, because Sayreville is a board that knows what's going on in terms of what you can offer. You have a template contract typically that you would use, and negotiations usually go very smoothly. And the county superintendent will look at the contract, look at the comparables, make sure that it was within a range of salary, fair, and look at make sure there's nothing illegal about the contract in terms of any perks or things like that. And then we have a wonderful county superintendent, Mr. Anderson, will get back to you ASAP. But the real thing is the separation of the transaction. Real quick, we'll go through the 8 components. We've been here, I know it's a late night, but as you can see, we highlighted internal and external communication. Communication transparency separates a good search from a failed search. Focus groups. We'll make sure we'll work with the board that first meeting. What are the focus groups? Certain boards have different types of specialty focus groups. We know we want to meet with all the normal stakeholders that you identify: PTO, your administrators, your staff, of course, individual board members, community organizations, but sometimes there's specialty areas that we get identified during that meeting. We've met with all of these. We create the online survey when we start talking about that first night. The third is development of profile, coming from the feedback from the stakeholders. Development of that is through the Board of Ed, SEA, and the stakeholders. The recruitment strategy, by having a comprehensive profile, why it's so important we get a key profile, that's our recruitment. That's our ad. If we say, look, we're trying to match, people are attracted by a solid and a very clear profile of the candidate. It makes recruitment a lot easier. Sayreville is going to have a lot of interest. I say this because did we hear Dr. Labby 13 years? So take Dr. Labby out. Superintendents with a district for 13 years? Holy mackerel. That's a unicorn. It's not happening too much. Although I was there 15 years, Doc, we were unicorns. But reason was because you see such volatility in the areas of superintendency, and I think it's the groundwork. But Sayreville is going to say, wow, someone's been there, they're going to do research. That means they have a board that works with the superintendent, and there's a great governance structure in place. It must be, every district's going to have challenges, but to have the stability of a board that works with a superintendent over that many years, that's a critical piece of the recruitment strategy. Will help us recruit. Screening the candidates. We talked about the red, green, and the green, yellow, and red. We'll go through everything. We'll help with the interviews. We'll start the initial interviews. We'll screen, we'll interview. But the candidates 6 to 10, round 1, that meet that where the board selects, starts that'll start, we call the first round with the board. Then typically we say, if you have 10, you want to maybe cut it to 4 or 5. And then after that, we usually recommend 2 or 3. And then after that, by that time, we will set up enough areas of intrigue, like case scenarios. We'll have them do presentations. First round of questioning by the board, every candidate of the 6 to 10 candidates that you pick will get the same questions. That's a legal requirement. You won't kind of go off. You could ask follow-up, but they have to be all within the same questioning. Round 2, when you get down to the next round, you then can go off script, and we'll help you go off script in a way that will be unique, and we'll see that person as they would lead at the board. We'll give them some scenarios. We'll give them a chance to work with you, maybe in an interview process. You'll say, wow, I felt very comfortable that was presented by that superintendent. Yeah, I like that candidate. But you can go off script and do follow-up questions based on the
Just with the interviews as well, and this to me is really important.
You want it?
No, I don't. Is that we're very careful to get through the sociopaths. What is sociopaths? The people that read you, that are cunning, that are smart, that'll give you an answer and then adjust based on your reactions. So we want to make sure that you're getting somebody that has a high batting average, that knows what they're doing. And so we align questions for you to choose that are all tied to the core components that's delineated in the profile. Then our rubric we give you to take notes and keep aligns itself to the questions and the components. So it takes the emotions out of it. Since we're all human beings and things touch us the ways it doesn't touch others. Like, I'm preoccupied with your Bomber Cafe. Why? I'm a special needs superintendent. Why did I leave regular ed for this? I have 4 children, my wife and I. The fourth of 4 is on the spectrum. She was told she'd never go to a typical school. She'd always be in a special school. Well, this little girl at 3 years old went to a public school. Fast forward now, she's 25. She's got a college degree, and she's working as a paraprofessional. Now she's starting college for the para to teacher route. She has a 4-year degree. Only one of my 4 kids to not only graduate on time, but graduate early. So I know the beauty of special education when it's done right and it provides opportunity. So that Bomber is 18 to 21. I'm going to be here with my crew during the week before it closes and copy it.
Let me know when you're coming, and I'll buy you a coffee.
Appreciate it. And I'll take you up on it. Criticism, wait, what's the thing about the highest form of praise is copying them?
Imitation.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wish I would have said that, but I didn't. I do want to say, Dr. Kuchar talked about, we run into a lot of usual suspects who are professional interviewers. They are classic. You want to hire them on the spot. We work with boards and we say, make sure you have the follow-up question and ask them, what's that look like in practice? They all know the cliches, the latest lingo. They can even go on AI and help them with interview responses. What does that look like in practice is always a great follow-up. Or how did you accomplish that in your district? Or, give us the how you did it. And then the fumbling and mumbling starts for those professional interviews. So we'll work for that example with questioning, those follow-up. We do so much interviewing as superintendents. We do get an advantage of, we can see the pretenders and the contenders. Those are really good at interviewing, but, the old Dirty Dozen movie, if you ever watched it, old movie, they look great, but can they fight? When Donald Sutherland looked at the old Dirty Dozen, they all dress up and they go, well, they look great, but can they fight? Well, you want a candidate that can fight, right? You don't want them just to be a great interviewer. They want to be able to in practice. And that's what we would help. And that's important as we evaluate and set up the new superintendent for success. This is Dr. Kuchar's favorite quote. It's just good to great. The right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people in the right seats to correct. So this is an important seat, superintendent. We just don't want to put everyone on the bus. We need everyone in the right seat on that bus. And you deserve the best. So this process, I commend you for, again, starting early, because it is a process. To find the best, it's not easy. But I think you have to use every lever at your disposal to try to get you the best group of candidates so you can find the best fit, work with us, and we certainly will give that consultation from that superintendent lens, working with you as from the board lens, running the district. And I will say, I know you want to talk about timeline. I don't know when you want to start, so I just did a 3-month quick. September to October, you're going to hire the firm. You're going to get into that meeting with the board, that firm, and do a work session, develop the profile, develop the questions, the survey in that first month. And then that within October comes, we're going to have all those stakeholder meetings. You're going to have the feedback. We're going to create the profile. It can't be rushed if we're going to do an honest creation of a profile. And after that month, we bring it back to the board. We create that profile. We create the ad. We create that profile as our cue card to recruit. And then we put it in the paper or the various organizations. We put it on the websites. We send it out. We actually go to ASA with Superintendent Association in Connecticut, in Pennsylvania. And, of course, we're here in New Jersey, and we get the coverage. And it's wide within the metropolitan area. November is really when you're going to start, if you did a 3-month, the first 2 months, the month of November or whatever third month of your search, you're really going to start getting into meetings and meeting the candidates and doing the searches down to 6 to 10 to 3 to 5, and then maybe the following meeting after November, because you may have passed your November meeting date, you would hire that superintendent and go through that whole search process. If you were to start in September, if you said to the search firm, October, we're going to start November, just understand it's a 3-month process. And again, 3-month process, 3 to 5 months separation maybe. That could be almost a full school year. So that's why, again, I think starting this early is beneficial.
And before we ask questions, we do also want to thank you for your service as board members. 21 years to the seat, probably more than this. You know the intent of the board. And my wife now started her 4th term as a board member in our local regional high school. And I think it's one of the greatest community services that we can do. You know, it's times of thankless to us.
But it pays well, right?
Oh, yeah, amazing.
I'm kidding. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and certainly we'd love to hear some questions, so thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. No, first again, thank you for coming out, especially in this weather. I just got a couple questions. So you mentioned about selecting a candidate in December. Are we allowed to select a candidate in December, or do we have to wait until January?
In that case, for that scenario, yes, the Gonzalez decision was clear, because as a lame duck, you would have to wait for reorganization.
Right, okay.
I just, again.
No, I
wanna get
understand.
into that
It's just a
3-month
timeframe type
right,
of thing. I get it. I just wanted to,
Right.
that was a concern that it's a question that we've come up with a
Right.
couple times, so
It's
I
the
just wanted to
thing
make
called
sure
the
we weren't
Gonzalez
missing something.
decision that you can bind a former board, which is on its way out, there'll be a reorganization, can't bind the next board. So they call it the Gonzalez decision, and so, yeah, that's a very good question, but.
You're up for reelection?
4.
Ooh, it's a tough one then.
Plus, Dr. Labby told us already. He told us that we couldn't do it
Right.
till after the reorg.
Right, after the reorg. And again, I put that there only because it showed within the month. but-
timeline.
Yeah, timeline.
Gotcha. That's just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, this is a pretty robust election. But, again, you win if it depends on where you land on the ballot.
Yeah, 1,
Doesn't
2,
matter
3
who you
position.
are. If you're in first, you're guaranteed to win.
Yes.
First, second, third, they guaranteed to win. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll land in a good spot.
So what
Lucky.
mistakes do you see most boards make in the selection process?
That's a great question. I'll answer it quickly, and then I'm going to turn it over to someone who has even more experience. I think going too quickly. Boards tend to want to move the process. They get someone, and they have to let it take its course. It's a process, meaning let's get the stakeholders involved. Let's get everybody involved. We work with some boards where they expedited the situation, and people felt left out. Even though you're going to make that decision, it's an opportunity to kind of get the feedback, help us recruit. The key is recruitment, and if it's being expedited, people start thinking, maybe they have someone picked out already, maybe it's not clean process. So that's probably what I've seen over the last few years. So that's why I think South Brunswick, if you remember, it was all in the paper that East Brunswick was expediting the process, and they were going to have a better, I don't think, I mean, South Brunswick, I think, are very happy with our services, but we told them they were going away for the summer. We told them, well, then, go away. We'll come back in September and finish it, because you don't want to rush it just for the sake of before you go on vacation. So, to me, trying to expedite it, not being true to the process.
I want to add to that because it's a great question. And typically I talk about
Yeah.
this.
Mike, they can't hear you.
No, we hear 'em.
Typically I talk about this.
They won't hear you on the video, so people that want to watch the video, if you're not on the mic, they won't hear you.
Oh, on the mic. Do I stand here? What do I do? Yeah, what do I do? So, Leonia, they did their first round. They told me who they wanted back. And they said, what about so-and-so? No, on the bubble. Well, the first round is survey questions. They're broad in general. See, a superstar might not come out a superstar on round one. And I was able to talk to him and said, you're making a big mistake by not bringing this person back. Ultimately, they chose that person. The person was a star there. But you got to be careful about, as Brian says, letting the process take its course, not making the judgments prematurely in your head and then sticking with it, but stay open to it. I was proud of the Edison board. They were tough for the first couple of months, but when it was over with, probably one of my favorite boards. And what I really liked about it was their internal, they were giving a courtesy interview. I remember after the first one, they said, Mike, Bry, he was good. We want to hear him again. And he wound up through. So they didn't have that preconceived notion. So just keep an open mind. You've been donating your time to the board a long time. You've been living in this community. Follow your heart. You know what you need and what you want. And you guys seem to be working well together. Just keep unified. That's when it goes awry too, when the unity breaks down. And then we have the horse trading, the back door. I don't see that here. Could be putting on a good show, but I doubt it.
We're professionals.
Yeah.
And what factors have you seen delay the process?
Oh. Well, schedule is one, but also people get to inaction because they're afraid of making a mistake. This process cures that. We cure that whole ill by going through the system that we put in place.
And I got a very important question for Dr. Zakowski. Am I pronouncing that? Now, it's a little in-depth, so what is your favorite coffee at Bomber Cafe?
What's the, Dr. Labby, give me the Jersey,
Jersey Diner, okay. All right, you passed.
In fact, I met my cousin there, and after we had Jersey Diner coffee, we went over to the diner down the road, right on the 18 over there. We went to a Jersey Diner.
There you go. Anyone else have any questions, John?
Zakowski would have been a great name in Sayreville. He would have done great. Answered my question before, and I love the fact that you guys can recruit and that you guys interview every candidate before we see him. I really like that part of it. But just the main question, what's the damage?
What's the fee?
Oh, I know the proposal.
It wasn't in there, Brian?
I didn't put it in the slide, I put it in the proposal. I sent forward. Yeah, so sorry if I thought.
No worries.
So it was 19.9.
Okay,
We're not tiered.
right, that's one price for all coming in.
The training, the connections, the recruitment.
Yep.
Everything.
Okay, appreciate it.
Well,
You'll get 3 of us.
will there be, because you said, oh, we have additional services, is there going to be another charge for when you bring the guy on or her on?
No,
Okay.
no.
Well, I like the fact that you guys have actually been superintendents, so you kind of know what, you seem like you would have been good superintendents, not flunkies. So you seem like you would know what we're going to
He's still
need.
superintendent, and I failed my retirement, so I'm back as.
Yeah, you're back, so I think you,
Yeah, I
you
get
know.
nervous when anybody says Ben because it sounds like has been, so, no, I'm kidding, yeah. So we do have a critical eye of, we know how hard it is to be successful, and certainly, I think the key thing we'll ask you to, when you look for your candidates, when you stop learning, you stop leading. And although I heard great things, and Dr. Lappy did great things here, the hardest thing you want someone is not to bring their bag of tricks, to understand the district, not to be understood. We don't care what your resume says. How are you going to take Sayreville to that next level?
Right.
The hardest thing is, there was a wise old sage, not Aristotle, not Socrates, his name was Vince Lombardi. And after winning 6 championships, he said to his players, you either get better or you get worse. Meaning, I don't care how good we are, we gotta continue to look at that improvement, that cycle of bringing a team together. This is a team, it's a complex organization, but how do we get better? So if Dr. Lappy leaves, his legacy continues, but we can't rest on his legacy because then it's failed. We must continue to get better and continue to look at those processes to examine where we are. The hardest job of taking over for someone successful in a cooperating board is how do we get to that next level? Whether it's one step, again, the key question is how. But, so to your answer, Mike and I have, and Judy was a superintendent at Berkeley Heights for 11 years, 12 years. And so we have that understanding that it doesn't matter what happened last year. Those students are only 1 year in their senior year, only 1 year is the 4th grade. The organization has to serve every student, every year, every day, in every classroom. And the only way you do that is continuous improvement. And through a lens of all children.
Well, this is a rough district, so we need somebody with thick skin, not anybody who's wish-washy, like, oh, they have to be able to hold their guns and stick to their decisions.
No, we
like Dr.
prefer
Lappy.
not. We prefer not if we can put anything. That was one.
14 straight wins.
Oh, I don't care about that. But they have to be able to do what Dr. Labby did. When he first came on board, here he is, he's all happy that he's here, and boom, he gets hit with a public nightmare. And what did he do? He didn't back down, he didn't say, oh, I want everybody like me, so I'm gonna make a different decision. He made the right decision, regardless of the fact that it, people didn't like it, and he took a lot of heat for it. So this is a very rough, public opinionated district. So, it's not like everybody talks, but the same people who are complaining are the same people who are complaining. So we want to make sure that that new superintendent has the shell of like an exterior that's not going to be able to poo right through it. So that's what I
I
want.
love Sayreville. I have my cousins that are all here, and I work in a district very similar to Sayreville, North Brunswick. Same challenge, many of the same challenges, maybe a different style, but certainly all the same challenges. So Dr. Kuchar worked in Bergenfield before he became a special South Bergen Joint Superintendent. So, yeah, we all have that eye, and we know we'll certainly match up. And I think when we do the profiles with all the stakeholders, we're going to say, I heard the board president say, the Bombers way or the Sayreville way. And that's code for you're going to be able to handle the community. And it's a wonderful community. Who cares if they're opinionated? That's what people are, right? Today, social media has increased that tenfold. You give everybody a platform. That's okay.
They're certainly not shy.
No. That's what we do. That's part of the job.
Eileen, thank you for bringing that up, because it brought up a question that was asked to our colleague from school board that I wish to ask me, but I'm going to bring it up to answer it anyway. What makes a great leader in my mind? And it goes to your point, and to what Brian was saying. One, a great leader has immense integrity. There wasn't anything that Dr. Lappy was going to do that he couldn't put his head on the pillow. So even though it was tough, I don't know him personally, but I can tell you by knowing of him, he did what he believed was right, and he couldn't have done anything else. And I respect that about him quite a bit. So you certainly want someone with integrity and someone who's going to make everyone around them better. And that's a great leader, and you have it now, and you'll have it again. And I'm going to come back for coffee and have the Jersey coffee, regardless.
I'm serious
Because
about the
love either
invitation. Let me know
way.
when
We
you're
don't
coming,
maybe
and
we weren't
I'll
a
buy
good
you coffee.
fit. we make it, I'll enjoy the coffee, I'll buy a double.
Well, hopefully, like, I did not know Dr. Labby. I just was new to Sayreville School District. I had gone to my daughter went to Catholic school for a bunch of years. We moved over to the district when you became the superintendent. And I was like, oh my God, when all this, everything broke loose. I said, wow, this poor guy, here he is, brand new. And then I became his biggest defender. I actually started going to BOE meetings. I wasn't like a freak that I went every time, but I went frequently and got to know him and really believe in Dr. Labby. So I would hope that whoever replaces him brings that same type of personality, integrity, respect for everybody, that he does. So hopefully we'll find somebody like you. I see you got a tan, though. I noticed that today. You too. You too, Miss.
Bus duty every morning.
Exactly, yes.
I'm like, look at all the pale faces that are not going in the sunlight.
We do the same bus duty for Mr. Nestor.
Oh, I am.
I know he would never say "I." That's a pronoun I never hear him say. He has Roundtable just, nominated him and made him superintendent of the year and president.
Hey, well deserved.
Congratulations.
That's great.
The best will do.
Well, before I wish you safe travels home, I agree with you, Dr. Labby deserves a tremendous amount of credit for Bodmer Cafe. It's an incredible job. But I also want to congratulate Mr. Nestor. He was an integral part of that, and as our entire team there. Really, David, thank you. Dr. Labby, thank you for making the best place in town, the happiest place in town.
Awesome.
And also, too, Dr. Labby was instrumental in getting people like Miss Grossman, I forget your name. Miss Berg? Bert. And our other, what's her name? Audrey Burns. When people retired, he brought in new. Don't. Because you do the most talking. No, don't. Okay? You speak the most. Don't feel bad.
There it goes.
But he also brought in these good replacements for people who retired. Not that they weren't good, but they really, I feel like we have gone into a new direction, and that's because.
Eileen, you're scaring the future superintendents, candidates.
Don't feel bad she doesn't know your name. The man sitting right back there, she calls him Richie.
Isn't his name Richie? No,
She
Jimmy.
called me Katiana.
Katiana. I gotta mess everybody's names up.
Katiana.
She's Katiana.
Mr. Glock McCloy.
You can't say your name for anything.
I need to, I cannot.
She still can't say Slover, but hey.
By the way, board members, I sent you the proposal again, so you can,
All right,
you
good.
can take a look at the cost proposal.
I apologize that I should have put it in.
No, no worries.
I have a
worries.
question for you. Your presentation has been great.
Katia, please. No.
If you are sitting in these chairs, what will you think is the most important decision that we have to take as a board to hire a firm? Because you know that you're going through NJSBA, that they hired him. So what made you guys stand up or make different in this process that we're gonna, if you are sitting in here, what is the most important things for you to hire a firm?
I'm gonna answer it, and it's a little arrogant, but I can guarantee victory. Why else wouldn't we go with it? You'd be a fool not to. I got a track record that knock your socks off because we do it right and we care. That's why. Look, I like Marilyn. She's a nice little woman. She's one woman. You're not gonna put her up against three of us. I like her a lot. But look, you might want the 20,000 with the strategic plan. You may. I don't know. It's your choice. It's your board.
And I'll say that our ability that separates us is our ability to recruit a wider range of candidates. So why we were selected in Middlesex County and Somerset County with Franklin is our ability, our track record, the number of candidates we were able to recruit that can fit the profile, because we're not limited. The problem is, as you saw, again, I don't want a wonderful presentation organization. In fact, Ms. Friedman, her daughter works for me. So I hired her daughter 5 years ago, 6 years before I retired, so she's still working for me. So I love Mary, wonderful. But we're able to recruit another level of candidate because we're not conflicted when you're working for school boards, which is why they have that second tier. Because the executive director, Tim, Dr. Purnell, had asked some of us to go out and help them recruit because if they hire independent recruiters, they can expand the field that school boards can present. School boards did the initial search in South Brunswick, and Dr. Kuchar was working for the firm before he went on his own that found North Brunswick that hired me in 06-07 school year. So they just couldn't go out. The reason why school boards couldn't get me, I was a seated superintendent somewhere else, and somebody from, and this happened to be Dr. Kuchar, said, hey, come take a look at North Brunswick. We think it's a great match for you. And I met with the board, and, you know, I've been blessed. I have a great board, only second to Dr. Labby, he tells me, but I have a great board. I love it. I came back. I wouldn't come out of retirement for anybody else because I really enjoyed working with the board and solving the problems. So my point is, I'm a living experience of the ability of a colleague that see the superintendent coming out and reaching out and saying, let's go talk to them. I think you might like that board. I met with them. Look at the district. I didn't apply for it when school boards had the application for North Brunswick. So they went out to another search firm, and Kuchar didn't have his own firm, but he did some work, and he reached out to me, and I went over.
And we're going to see these people again in meetings.
Yeah.
We're going to run into them.
So are you guys going to poach people who are really good and
Darn right we are.
convince them to come here?
You darn right we are. And if you want to keep your person, treat them better.
No, you deserve as opportunities for people who are stars out there to come here in Sayreville. And sometimes it just takes a little nudge because you know, say, look, take it from me. I met that board. I working with the board. I think you should just talk to them. So when we nudge them, we don't say you're going to get the job. We want to create that level of candidates, right? The wide array of candidates that we can do. So I think that's what separates us. The number of candidates and the number of quality candidates we can get.
Just,
Confidentiality.
yeah, just don't pick anybody whose board had to go in a hole because they didn't do financial projections correctly.
Well, we know those
Because that's one
districts.
thing we're strong on is finance.
Well, I know. I presented with Aaron and Dr. Labby at school boards in Middlesex County when I was retired. And you guys did very
Yeah, we're very, Erin has a unique skill of stretching a penny and making it turn into thousands of dollars.
I'll leave you with this. Just don't charge your mortgage with a credit card. Every district that went in the hole,
Yep.
taking recurring expenses and using non-recurring revenue. And everyone is the same. It's all common throughout the state. So,
Were they self-insured?
well,
That was another difficult.
Yeah, well, that's a statewide issue, even for the municipalities, this insurance issue, but.
that's a big public. Well, how do you get $18 million is when you're all of a sudden overexpending and all of a sudden the funds don't come in and you have recurring. So where they take it out on steady? Because that's a recurring expense. So you can't have recurring expenses without recurring revenue. It's not a profit and loss.
Good.
That's your comment. So you won't get that. Right, Aaron?
Erin's like, no way in heck.
Anybody else have any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming
you.
out.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And as always, we're saving the best for last. Mr. Glock-Malloy is going to give you an extremely brief presentation on, I believe, our school safety data.
No.
So we're on page 1.
And now we're on page 5.
I do.
Eric is the man.
Yes, you're right. It's going to be riveting.
Oh, yeah.
Half the report you already saw, because half the report is reporting period 1. So we can skip over those sides if nobody has any questions on those. There have been no changes there. So let's go forward here. Our quick breakdown, the different categories, nothing has changed here. This has been the same for many, many years now. Reporting period 1, we've had no changes here, verified all our numbers have been confirmed. So that data is the same as what you saw earlier this school year. So as we move on to the next slide, that is our reporting period 2 data. That's our violence, vandalism, weapons, substance, and HIB data, as well as other
Can I
suspensions.
ask you a
from
quick
schools.
question?
Absolutely.
Before we legalize, marijuana, did we have as many substance abuse issues?
The number has definitely gone up, but we've had substance abuse issues, particularly at the high school level, for years
Forever.
even before marijuana was legalized. But the number has gone up, as has data that you don't see here, which is the amount of people that have to go out for testing and things of that nature. So that has definitely increased. Coming down off our reporting period 2 data, we have our totals for the year, which includes in the smaller numbers underneath the change from last year. So in each category, you see your school, you see the category, and you see the plus or minus off of last year's numbers for totals in the SSDS reporting. Some have gone up, some have gone down. Overall, our numbers have improved this year for particularly suspendable offenses in the areas of violence, vandalism, our high-yield offenses. We've gone down overall for the school year. The next couple slides just break down the subcategories of violence. Sometimes you look at that high level for violence, that high level for vandalism, and say, whoa, what is making up this? So on our next 2 slides, we see the breakdown for violence and then for our breakdown of vandalism. You can see that most of our violence falls into the assault and fight category. And again, as we talked about earlier this year as well as last year, our threats also fall into this category, which sometimes can skew the numbers a little bit for overall violence, because that is very often our staff, our administration, our teachers intervening before we get to an assault, a fight, or something else, and we have the threats that have come, have been stopped, are still consequences, but they come before we get to that level of physical violence. So sometimes, although it'll drive the violence numbers up overall, when we see that numbers of assaults and fights potentially go down in certain categories, the threats tend to balance out a little bit. But overall, it's our violence subcategories. And on our next slide, we see our vandalism subcategories. We don't have much that falls into the vandalism within our school district. We do have some theft, some damage to property. We don't have much in this category. We do get some false public alarms at the high school level. This is usually internet-based communication, things of that nature. Coming down to our next slide, we have our reporting period 1 totals. Again, information you've seen earlier this year. We come down and we see our comparison year over year for reporting period 2. You can kind of see that our numbers, again, in violence, we've come down a little bit from last year. Vandalism, we came down fairly significantly. Weapons, we went up a little bit. Substance abuse, we have come down since last year. Our HAB numbers fluctuate a little over the years, and we did see a drop-off in reporting period 2 of our overall other suspensions as well. Then on the next slide, you can see that same data for our overall for the entire school year. Again, violence, pretty static. Vandalism's come down. Weapons has come down for the overall for the year. Substance has come down. Confirmed HIBs went up a little bit, and alleged HIBs went up a little bit as well, and our overall other incidents leading to suspension have come down. The next section of our SSDS deals with our HIBs and trainings and programs. These are specific trainings and programs that deal with school safety, HIBs, cyberbullying, things of that nature. The vast majority of our school trainings and programs tend to occur in the first part of the year. Certainly not all of them, and some programs continue throughout the course of the year, but their start date is in the beginning of the year. So much of this category falls into reporting period 1. So we don't see a huge change with our reporting period 2 data for our trainings and programs. We do see some that start in reporting period 2. You can see here that we have a few. Arlith had 5 programs launched in reporting period 2. UES had 3. So we do have some that come up in reporting period 2, but the vast majority of these come out in reporting period 1. Our comparison year over year for reporting period 2. And last, our comparison year over year for the entire school year. You can see that we're fairly comparable to where we were last year. We've gone up in total programs, down slightly in number of trainings, and sometimes that can just be the nature of a training was rolled out and a program continues where additional training didn't take place. And overall, we've got an increase for the year. And then our last section of SSDS is Mr. Nastor's specialty. This is specific to our special needs population in the district. This is our restraints and seclusions. As we've discussed previously, we do not engage in seclusions within the Sayreville School District, so for us, this is pretty much restraints. Our reporting period 1 numbers, which you already saw. Our reporting period 2 numbers. And then our overall numbers for this school year. And our final slide is our comparison year over year. You can see, although our numbers were a little lower last year with 68 compared to this year's 97, we're pretty consistent with the prior 2 years of 96 and 97 since the tracking of restraints and exclusions began to be part of the SSDS. So with that, I will open up to any questions.
So I just got a quick one. Going back to slides 3, 4, and 5, right?
Okay.
Reporting periods 1. Yeah. So I realize reporting period 2 has about 50% more time, 6 months versus 4 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just looking at this and looking at the year-to-year comparison, obviously we've gone down or stayed about the same. So it's probably a trend that's historically accurate. I'm not looking at it now, but looking at period 1, middle school and high school, total incidents, we got 65 and 251. That seems to jump up, not 150%, but 400 and almost 500%, or 300 and almost 500% in the 2 categories. What is it about period 2 that seems to cause more? And again, I don't think it's just unique to this year, because we look at the middle school overall, they dropped significantly, and the high school was slightly up.
There's a number of things that fall into that category, particularly in the other incidents, the uncategorized ones. What you often see at that point is students have, for lower level offenses, they've now made their way through the code of conduct where they're getting suspended as opposed to a detention or a Saturday. It could be incredibly low level offenses that I've cut my Saturday, I've cut my, and now I've gone and I have a higher level. So a lot of times in reporting period 2, what you're just seeing is progression of the code of conduct.
Makes perfect sense.
Beyond that, there are any number of factors. The more time they've been in school, the more time that there's been for conflict with other individuals. Sometimes summer break is a good time to break, and it takes some time to work up and have specific issues with individuals groups, social groups. But the biggest number that you see there is just the simple fact that you've moved through the code of conduct, and now you have a higher level of suspensions for given offenses.
That's why you're the man, Eric. I knew you'd have the right answer. Thank you for that.
I just want to know something. Maybe I'm reading wrong, but why 26, 27 period 1 totals? Like, what does that mean? You didn't start 26, 27 yet, right? On the page, the period 1 comparison. I see 26, 27 on a couple of them.
Yeah.
So I'm just,
Got ahead of myself with the years.
yeah,
I'll
so I'm
fix
just
it.
making sure, okay.
Yeah, because you don't have a 25.
I was doing 26, 27 of that.
So I was like, wait a second, what do you mean we have 320 already in 26, 27?
Nope, because we don't have a 25, 26 on those pages, so.
This one does, 25, 26.
No.
Some do.
I will
Like,
fix
for
that.
example, on
Yeah, it
this
was a
page,
typo.
the reporting period 1 comparison. It has 26, 27, and then it has 25, 26.
Yep, I will fix that for you. But our top level number are this year's number.
So the top level.
The top level in the kind of yellow, orangey color, that is our number for this year.
Just like with the progressive discipline, if you do this again, I may have to retract my earlier statement about you being the man, okay? Just letting you know, letting you off with a warning.
I just felt stupid at the moment, thinking what I was.
Nope,
No,
you
it's great.
caught it.
Great catch.
Absolutely, Allison, thank you. I will make that correction tonight, and I will repost that, but your top level number is your 25, 26. That is our data. Anyone
Anyone else
else?
have any questions? Great job, Eric.
Thank you.
And that concludes our presentations.
Thank you, Dr. Labby. Now we move on to board discussions. Ms. Pabon, Finance?
Oh, thank God. All right. All right, last Tuesday evening, the BOE Finance and Infrastructure Committee met. Erin discussed the upcoming 2025-2026 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report and Auditor's Management Report, in which our auditor will begin in August. After that, she reviewed the estimated 2025-2026 fund balance, and according to her, it's possible that we will be closer to $5 million. Furthermore, she indicated that since we canceled one of our purchase orders for a construction company that we were going to work with for the Cheesequake Road property, we actually have about $19.1 million in capital reserves before we purchase the bus depot. So, that's it. And then Jimmy told us, or Richie told us that we would, he provided updates on the referendum projects. He reported that the 3 major outstanding change orders are nearly finished. He then provided an update on other projects such as the solar panel carport completion project at the high school. He informed the committee that this past week, they began tearing up sections of the parking lot at the high school so they can connect the carports to the electrical infrastructure. Jimmy also reported that the middle school electronic sign is now up and running, thanks to Jersey Central Power and Light. Likewise, he reported that purchase order for electronic signs for Wilson, Truman, and Sellover, is that right? Slover. Have been issued. Additionally, he noted that the high school greenhouse is finished. Remember, we waited forever for that thing to come in? It is finished. I heard that it's really nice, too. And then he informed the committee that the renovations of the student bathrooms at Truman and the replacement of the carpet in the high school auditorium began last week as well. And finally, he shared that he's still in the process of getting pricing for the asphalt recess patio extension at Arliss. And that is it for the Finance and Infrastructure Committee.
Thank you, Ms. Pabon. Doctor, can you do finance? Dr. Aguiles, or?
I can't do finance, but
I'm not sorry, not finance.
Personnel.
I'll do personnel.
I was like, why would he have to do finance again?
No, personnel.
Erin just went into a panic attack right now. For personnel, we discussed the open positions in both certificated and non-certificated spots. We discussed the personnel matter, and we discussed our substitute fill rates for the 25-26 year, and looking to increase those fills on a more consistent basis for the 26-27 year.
Thank you, Dr. Aguiles. And now, Ms. Napolitano.
Okay, so the Governance Committee met twice prior to tonight's board meeting. During those meetings, the committee reviewed the job description for the induction coordinator stipend position, discussed and proposed revisions to the 26-27 school district calendar, and completed a review of several new and revised bylaws, policies, and regulations that are being presented for first and second reading at tonight's meeting. The committee also reviewed and proposed revisions to policies 8660 and 8662 regarding student transportation, and discussed abolishing Regulation 2363, which was the student use of privately owned technology, to replace it with the new policy Regulation 5516, student use of internet-enabled devices, and that's it.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Napolitano. Now on to student achievement, Ms. Bloom.
Okay, student achievement met on Tuesday night. The first thing that we did was revise the 26-27 calendar. There's one date change.
Turn on your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't hear me? We had to change one date for our professional development because of election. The next thing is the curriculum guides for review, pre-calculus and pre-calculus honors, and this has to be done to align with the updated standards. The next thing is the memorandum of understanding with Rider University and Middlesex College. This is the annual renewal, and that involves our tomorrow's teachers honors, and that's a dual enrollment, and we're looking to expand that. Math tool pilot, fall 26, fifth grade, MAGA Math, We're going to put that into place, and there is no cost to that program. AP preliminary data shows that courses are doing fabulous. 4 courses had 100% passing rate. The environmental program, the passing rate is up. 51 more students took AP tests. Scores are up, 3.4 to 3.52, and physics is up by 10 students. ESL core program adoption, this is all new. And then we went to special projects, Ms. Burke, again, professional development, preparing for opening day, the NJDOEA state requirements, new staff orientation, CPI training, responsive classroom training. All of these things are being put into place for professional development. And grants, we have Title II and IV funding. We also are utilizing funds for training and salaries, tutorials, multilingual, the School Violence Prevention Program grant, we are applying for that. And that's it for student achievement.
Thank you, Ms. Bloom, and
Think
now
I
we're going to have
covered
you on overtime.
I beg your pardon?
We're going to have you on overtime, Middlesex County School Board Association.
Board Association, I wish I could say it's all quiet, but it's not. But that's a story for another time. We're working on our calendar for next year, trying to get all our dates set up with school boards. So as soon as we have our dates for next year, I will let you know what they are.
Okay, thank you. Now we move on to public participation. Please keep in mind, there's a 3-minute time limit. Seeing no one, I close all public session. Dr. Labby?
No one, there is no one.
If no one has any objections because of the time, I'm going to forego the majority of my report, and I just want to highlight 2 items.
Darn.
Is anybody okay with that? Yeah. Okay, so I just want to, obviously, we do have a retirement, so I do want to take the time to recognize one of our staff members. So if you can refer to number 1 in personnel on page 27, we're asking you to graciously accept the retirement of Migdalia Rivera. She's a full-time paraprofessional at Project Before It's Over. Congratulations to Migdalia Rivera on an incredible 20-year career with the Sayreville Public School District. For 2 decades, her dedication transformed our self-contained classrooms into safe, joyful spaces where our youngest learners could truly thrive. Her patience, warmth, and endless creativity unlocked the potential in every child who walked through her classroom door. Ms. Rivera has left an unerasable mark on the hearts of countless families and colleagues alike. As she turns the page to this next chapter, we wish her retirement filled with relaxation, adventure, and the same joy that she brought to every single student and staff member on each and every day. Thank you for 20 years of pure heart and service, Mrs. Rivera. So we thank Mrs. Rivera for her impeccable service, and we congratulate her on her well-earned retirement, and we wish her all the best. And then I'd like to also recognize that we are asking you to recommend Angela DiPaolo, who is currently one of our biology teachers at the high school. We're asking you to approve her to be an interim vice principal at the high school and middle school because Mrs. Carey will be going on a leave of absence from the middle of October through the end of April. So we're asking you to approve Mrs. DiPaolo as an interim vice principal. And that's an important thing for us because we're so blessed in Sayreville to have so many outstanding leaders. And she is one of those outstanding leaders that's going to have an opportunity to really showcase those leadership skills to us in this capacity. And we'd also like to thank all the incredible staff members from across the district that applied for this. It was not an easy decision, but she truly was the cream that rose to the top. So, we are graciously asking you to approve that recommendation, and we congratulate her on that. And that concludes my report. Unless anyone has any questions about anything on, finance, student achievement, governance, or personnel. Mrs. Bloom, I see that you have your hand
I
up.
have one question, just something that jumped out at me on page 5, number 25, where we do the non-public funding.
Yes.
Security, we provide security for non-public?
It's not that, it's funding that the state gives them that we kind of hold the money and spend it for them.
Oh, okay.
So it could be for things like updating cameras or something like that, but it's not our funds. It comes from the state, and we just have to make sure that they're following the law, so we're the ones who spend it for them.
Okay.
And it's certainly not our resources.
Yeah, I was just saw that and I said, oh, I have to ask about this. Okay, thank you.
Good question. Anyone else? And as was mentioned before, one of the things that we are asking you to approve is the calendar change. We learned that the primary in June is not going to be on the first Tuesday, which would have been the first. It's going to be actually on June 8th. So therefore, we have to change that student holiday and the staff development day from June 1st to June 8th. So that's the only change there.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move.
So I got Mrs. Maldonado as a motion and Mrs. Napolitano as a second. Okay. Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Mrs. Hernandez,
Yes.
Mrs. Maldonado,
Yes.
Mrs. Napolitano,
Yes.
Mrs. Pabon,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh,
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I open up the floor to public participation. Please come up one at a time. Okay. Seeing none, I close public session.
Oh, I did want to say something.
Good.
I just
That's in
What-
closing comments.
Oh, okay, closing comments I could do?
Okay, now we're having closing comments.
I would just like to say to the viewers of our meeting and to the public of Sayreville that we are running again for the Board of Ed, so we are going to be happy to try to win back our seats and continue. It's me, Eloy, Allison, and John Walsh. So vote for us, people. Thank you.
Anyone else have any other comments? Seeing none, our next meeting is Tuesday, August 25th, and Tuesday, September 22nd, 2026. I'll entertain a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.